Berlin, wonderful. I love this map. It's the biggest map in the. Sorry, I shouldn't do inside jokes. No one in Twitch
I
chat
know,
understands
right?
it.
They're like, what the hell is this guy on about? Does he
Okay.
not know the size of the
I'll
map?
explain it now. Yeah, well, to be fair, there was a time I didn't. So it's
I
okay, but
drilled it in you because I said it every time. I drilled it in.
you did. You told me it's the smallest map.
Smallest rush
Yes.
distance, puppy. Rush distance.
Oh, it's actually not the smallest map. Anyway, spawning in the bottom red position, it is your Protoss player, representing himself, as far as I'm aware. It is from Melbourne, Australia, Pezz.
I'm loving the docs at the end. Let's go. Let's. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad ALE, we have the Filipino Zerg player himself. This time he is blue, representing the Juggernauts from Ho Chi Minh. No, that's Vietnam. That's
Oh my
from Manila.
gosh.
It is EnDerr.
What?
Now they're gonna get swatted mid tournament.
Oh no. Yeah, this is totally the priority. But yeah, we see a natural blocked by Pezz. Just from this, with my gigantic Zerg brain, you guys don't understand, you know, the excellence that is coming through my head now. We're gonna likely see Chrono Boosted Adepts just to put pressure on for EnDerr, but I think we're gonna possibly see, I don't know, from Pezz, because he's been playing a lot of Terran, right?
He has been playing a lot of Terran. That has kind of been his bread and butter for a couple of months now. I say a couple of months, like 6 months now. Jesus, we're already halfway across the year. It's crazy. Halfway through the year even. So yeah, we'll see. What I do know is that Pezz still does brush up on his Protoss play from time to time. And he's still a terrifying player. There's a reason why, I don't know if you remember this, but in the last season of Ancient Champs, Oreo's like, I'm more scared of Pezz than I am of Probe. Like, Pezz just kind of has his own flair to PvZ.
Yeah, he really does. He's a player that's kind of been around, plays very much, knows what he likes, knows what is good in certain situations, and the thing is, when you play against EnDerr, a lot of that kind of logic, it goes out the window, right? Because EnDerr does his own thing. He doesn't really care what you're doing. He has his own style, and it kind of puts the onus on Pezz not only to be, you know, aggressive, keep the Zerg in check, but also not overextend and keep tabs on what EnDerr's doing on this end too.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is why I have you on, because when I think of the
Because I docked the players.
when I think of the Zerg scene in our region, in Southeast Asia specifically, we know how quirky players like Miyamika and EnDerr are. And when it comes to the Australian Zerg players, I feel like you're the most kind of in sync and in tune with these guys, you know? Like, I don't know what it is, but like, you know, you're like on a similar wavelength to someone like EnDerr.
Yes, I've got quite the reputation, like, for being a cheesy player. It's true. It's just because I don't back myself to macro against anyone. So if you have low confidence, guys, you two can be the main caster in the CranKy Ducklings.
Oh yeah, I'll bring you
But
on.
yeah, for sure. But Light, we got a lot of links coming out.
Yeah.
You think he's going to want to jump on the third base here? But we've got extra gates been coming down for Pezz. How's this dynamic going to work out?
Yeah, so fun fact, he actually did this every single game in the qualifiers for DreamHack. He would get to 26 workers and then just link flood and deny the third base. And Starduck really struggled against this. We were able to cast him earlier. Meanwhile, the links are here knocking on the front door of Pezz. We do have a wall off behind the Adept. Nice Micro here. He's going to be able to keep everything alive. And the links so far haven't done too much, but can he get the Cyber Core?
Yeah, getting that Cyber Core would actually be huge, because Pezz is going for that Adept kind of base play as it goes down. Like, and how does this, how does this impact his timing? Because his gateways are ready, but he can't move out until Warp Gate finished. Not Warp Gate, sorry, the Cyber Core finished.
Yeah, he literally cannot morph in any Adept, so this is great play here by EnDerr. Again, this Link Flood isn't all in. He does drone up behind this, and this is designed to either deny the third base or do, as we just saw, kill some kind of tech structure as well. He actually did this every single PvZ without fail, and it worked. I mean, he qualified for DreamHack. It's crazy. But we'll see how this does impact Pezz. He has rebuilt the Cybercore. He was very quick to throw it down. He still does want to hit his timing. Glaives is about to finish up. Will this work though?
Yeah, that's right. As we see, he's coming across, but EnDerr's kind of fully in position. He kind of, he knows what to do. Spore Crawler coming down too, in case it is indeed DTs by any chance. But Pezz, like, what's he gonna do here? His Roach is in the way. There's Lings in the field. He hasn't yet taken a third. He's gonna take it now, and we have a Robo Den. Robo Bay on the way.
Yeah, yo, the den is on the way. Let's go. Pezz, he is immediately transitioning. He has recognized that these Glaive Adepts clearly are not going to work, and this is great to help defend against a follow-up Roach push. Unfortunately, Roaches aren't coming. Lings are coming.
Yeah, and that base has just been placed. The Adepts do have they have got the shooting fast upgrade, Glaive Glaives. But EnDerr, I feel like he could have got this third base if he focused it from the start, but no, he's going to back up as more Adepts come in. EnDerr, he's looks like he's having a bit of trouble with his micro at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like he was panicking a little bit. I agree. He made a massive wave of Lings and they were stuck at home instead. Now they go for another counterattack, and as you were saying, like with this full surround, he should be able to force a cancel.
Yeah, most certainly, sure, and you have to keep in mind, like, that third base is already late, so that's actually quite impactful for Pezz. It looks like Disruptor Drop is going to be the flavor of his follow-up here. But yeah, I'm starting to feel now if that cancel, this is good for EnDerr. He's playing quite well indeed, but again, there's quite a few Adepts on the map, and EnDerr's going to need to respect this, because Pezz, he's got nothing to do, right, except use these Adepts.
Pretty much. I mean, with all these Adepts, this third base should be fine. Like, Pezz can finally get his third up and running, and he's putting a lot of hopes and dreams on these Disruptors. Interesting, he even moves out with his own Adepts as well, so he is looking to deal as much damage as possible, and we'll see if EnDerr can split up his army accordingly, and more importantly, split up against those Novas.
Split up indeed as the Adepts come out. There's quite a few of them, and there are Roaches on the field too. Observe they're going to be setting up, but those Disruptors are going to actually... Oh, he's going to try to grab 3 of them! Do not like the double send-off though, like...
Yeah, a bit of a rapid-fire kind of execution there of those Disruptors. Meanwhile, a bit of a Ling run-by isn't going to find too much damage here. Pezz does hold on to his third, but again, we need more from these Disruptors.
Yeah, and actually the Queen's pursuing there. Do get taken out, so EnDerr looks like he's focusing the micro against the map. So across the map, but yeah, Disruptor shot. Yeah, reasonable, but not great. Bit light. This Colossus is going to shut down those Lings across the map quite soon.
Yeah, they should. We have a transition into extended thermal lands here. Pezz already diversifying his AoE. Even though his Purification Novas haven't been ideal, they've been pretty lackluster, to be honest, he has kept them alive, and he can just keep on going, and he can finally or eventually hunt down and look for that juicy shot.
And look how fast that War Prison is.
Oh my god!
Sorry, it's two big explosions, right? It's not a bunch of poo-poos. But these Roaches, he's going to need to recall them, but no, Zerg cannot do that. He's going to lose them all. And this is a great pickoff for Pezz. Actually, no, looks like he's going to escape with some of them.
Yeah, unfortunately the body blocking wasn't quite there. Meanwhile, a lot of Roaches sneaking into the natural base. Overcharge was popped, but the shield battery goes down. Boys are falling left and right. EnDerr dealing some nice damage here, keeping the economy of Pezz just low, in shambles.
Yes, it's wonderful that Colossus is exposed, and we see the third base getting attacked again. The Colossus should be able to hold on here, but yeah, this is really good multitasking by EnDerr.
Yeah, it's really great. We'll see if he can get one of these Colossi. He dives into the Colossi in main base. Yo, the Warp In does body block for the Colossus, keeps it alive, and Pezz, he's going to defend not just his main, but also the third base.
Yeah, really good micro, good splitting there by Pezz. The Protoss army, it's very powerful when it's all together, but when you're forced to split like this, it starts becoming a bit more vulnerable. So Pezz kind of split perfectly, really good warp in there, and now it looks like EnDerr could be a bit on the back foot, because we could have a counter attack coming in very soon. Yeah,
here we go. We have our Disruptors from the early game. We have our Colossi as well. Pezz has just done such a great job at minimizing his losses, but we have another Roach run by. Only 4 Roaches, forces a recall.
He does indeed. That's going to lower the power. Oh!
Oh!
What?
Oh!
I need a moment.
Look away, Chase! Look away! It's not safe for Zoe, guys!
Oh my days. Look at the units lost.
45 roaches in total. That was the Nova that Pezz wanted. This is what I was talking about. Sure, he was only getting a handful of units earlier, but he kept both of his disruptors alive the entire game, and finally, they pay for themselves. They more than pay for themselves.
Yeah, they did indeed, and all it takes is just one hit, right? Pezz, better map awareness there than EnDerr, and when you're microing on so many fronts, it's so easy to kind of, you know, just neglect the one key area where something happens as these roaches coming in too. I feel like EnDerr, he's just trying to play a base tradey kind of style, but it's not working. Pezz is just solid this game.
Yeah, the problem is that Pezz is more than willing, but the Banelings roll on in. They will connect not just with the sentries, also the Adepts. Beautiful Baneling connections, but is it going to be enough here? The Disruptors are still surviving, the Colossus still survive, and the push is not stopping.
Yeah, the economy of EnDerr is just not there, and he's got a very healthy number of roaches. There are no Immortals, and he might be able to mount an impressive defense with the drones combined, but it's like he's diving on units and those roaches just getting powered down by him.
I like how the Disruptor goes off and there was nothing to kill.
Because it all got killed before, yeah.
There was nothing left. GG gets called, and Pezz takes game number 1.
Game number 1. Indeed. Sorry, I yawned. But, yeah, EnDerr's gonna have to adjust his game plan here because that was some really impressive, multitasking. Maybe playing Terran's paid off, man. He's getting better at splitting his army up. But, yeah, game number 1 goes to Pezz.
Yeah, that was very impressive play, despite a rocky start. I think we both have to admit that EnDerr did a great job at sniping the Cyber Core, basically shutting down the initial Glaive Adept push. There was no Glaive Adept push because of that. He was able to delay and deny the third base, forced to cancel twice, I think, or at least once. Like, he had a really solid early game, but as the game went on, like, you were talking about it, he went for a very, like, hyper-aggressive style, just constantly just sending Roach run-bys time and time and time again. Sometimes it was worth it, sometimes not so much, and he just didn't have a lot left over afterwards for that counterattack. Maybe he would have if he didn't take that massive shot to the face.
Yeah, that's right. As we see Twitch chat just reacting to it now, and it's kind of anonymous at this point. Big boom, yeah, sure. But yeah, it's a play style that it's you know, regardless of what you say about disruptors, they need to be microed to be effective. We saw Pezz was being very active with his usage of them on the field, and when you're active, when you're scouting out your opponent, you see opportunities, you can jump on it. So really good by Pezz to kind of maximize the potential. You know, if you do get counterattack, you just bring them home with the Warp Prism speed. So really well played, but we'll have to see how EnDerr with a strategy that did not really quite work in that game. How is he going to adapt, or is he just going to go for something wild? Because he was looking really good at the start of that game, if you remember.
Yeah, like I 100% agree. Like, the early game was solidly in favor of EnDerr, but at the same time, I also think that Berlingrad kind of favored him in that way. I think it may be a little bit harder for him to be able to accomplish that on some of these larger maps. Well, we'll see, as we are loading into game number 2, and it is going to be Glittering Ashes.
Yep, we are going into Hardwire. Here we go. PvZ. No, there's glittering light. I'm an expert on this map. I'm expert on this map pool. But yes, spawning in the top right position, we have got the Protoss player, the purple Protoss player from the Southern Hemisphere. I'm legally obliged to say that to not dox him. It is, representing himself, Pezz.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the Filipino Zerg player himself representing the Juggernauts. It is EnDerr.
And right, we see EnDerr's just gone straight to the
He's dancing. He's teasing.
Went to the third. I guess he didn't see the pro gun of the natural and thought maybe I can take it. But yeah. Would that tilt you like if that happened to you?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit, because it's like, you know, you're like trying to juke your opponent, but he's not falling for it, and you just keep trying, and it's not happening, and then, fine, I'll take the third, and yeah, it's just a little bit annoying. Does delay, does put a little bit of a wrench in the works of EnDerr.
Yeah, it does indeed, as we see. You know, it's nothing major. It doesn't really impact his build all too much. It's, you know, the spawning pool timing's still pretty much the same. But yeah, we'll have to see how EnDerr approaches this game. If we just look at the map features, it's a very wide map, isn't it? Like, how does that kind of, you know, Protoss we see is that the race that kind of, either with Warp Prism or with Oracles, air units say it, the ones kind of venturing out on the map until Link speeds out. How does this kind of impact Pezz's plan, if at all, as we go into kind of, you know, enter the mid game?
That's a good question, especially because like Pezz clearly had a plan in the first game, and it never really came to fruition. And he may be thinking, he may be wanting to do that again, right? Like, it's like, oh, you know, I really want to play with some Glaive Adepts, and he may want to do it again. We'll see. I think the other interesting thing is that Pezz, he's a very stylistic player, and he doesn't follow like the meta norms. I think the biggest thing is in the previous last year, basically, when Skytoss was all the rage, Pezz refused to do it. He never played Skytoss in PvZ. It was shocking, honestly, shocking. He just didn't like it. He just didn't like using them. And likewise, even nowadays, when the meta has shifted, and, you know, now Blink Stalker Oracle is all the craze with Hero, I don't know if Pezz even cares about that. He may just do his own thing, you know?
Yeah, I gotta say, like, you know, I've never actually felt good being Protoss, and then against Pezz's like ground-based army when Skytoss was all the rage.
Yeah,
but, it's really cool. Players that kind of, especially at such a high level, players who make their own kind of styles work. Mia Micah is another example of it. It's wonderful to see it, but you can't help but think, you know, the potential if they did indeed actually go for those, you know, those meta styles. But if it's working, why not? You know, it's not broke, don't fix it. As we see, a Void Ray. Yeah, is there going to be Oracle follow-up to this?
Oh, I would imagine so. We'll see. We'll see. The first Void Ray is coming out. Meanwhile, just like before, EnDerr, he joins up to 26 and then makes a mass amount of Lings. Lings are going across the map. Last game, we saw that the Lings were able to get a kill on the Cybercore. We'll see if they can do so again.
We shall see indeed. Like, yeah, a little bit of a timing here. This kind of looks like a timing to take out a 4-minute Nexus, which is quite the norm. Our Adepts in the wall to kind of hold here, and the Void Ray coming to help too. He does that scout off, but I'm not a fan of the pushing in here by EnDerr. He's going to have to back out. Maybe it's a pre-warp gate timing, maybe it's deny the 4th, but yeah, Pezz holds either way.
Yeah, I mentioned it before. Like, doesn't matter what the Protoss does. EnDerr just does this every game. Whether it denies the 4-minute third base or finds some damage elsewhere. But Pezz did a great job at defending here. He will eventually get this base up and running. There are still Lings around to threaten it, but Pezz is in position. He has some nice SimCity here. He's got his Void Rays. He should be perfectly fine. Oh.
Yeah, as we see again, coming in. Yeah, so normally when you have a third base taken this quickly, you know, between about 3:55 and I'd say 4:15, it means that Protoss has only got one tech building really in their base, normally 2 gateways to accompany that. So even if he doesn't actually see what's in the main, the Void Ray denying scouting, seeing a third base this reasonably quick, even after the pressure he put on, tells him that, you know, Pezz hasn't really done anything too crazy.
Yeah.
Deflects the Void Ray pretty well. Sorry, the Oracle, but the shield battery finishing the natural role, Pezz should be feeling pretty comfortable now.
Yeah, Pezz, he's safely expanded here on 3 bases. As you were saying, there's no crazy tech behind this, and EnDerr should also feel safe to drone up as well, and maybe even take a 4th base. But as we can see, he's a little bit too preoccupied taking up instead. Pezz is doing a great job at keeping an eye on this, and now with 2 Oracles, he comes in and he can one-shot some of these workers.
Yeah, second Oracle accompanying. This is something we'd seen, you know, quite popular with that hero style we were talking about. The Oracles, they're great tools. Third Oracle during the fray as well. They're really good for kind of, you know, just keeping tabs on your opponent, getting damage done, harassing the economy. But Zerg's army generally, it doesn't have a lot of anti-air to it, especially now Queen Walks have been nerfed. So if you get caught out in a pinch, 3 Oracles can provide a lot of DPS if you need to defend. So expect to see Pezz be very kind of frugal, very careful with these Oracles. Really good catching those Lings there, but I'd like to see, yeah, as he enters the mid game, using these as kind of a crux to help him out if he gets caught out.
Yeah, exactly. As you were saying, it's really cool to see Pezz go Void Ray into triple Stargate Oracle, into triple Oracle. It's not the most standard thing, but it does kind of, it is kept hidden because of said Void Ray, and he's going straight into Blink Stalkers. So he is kind of adopting that hero style, you know, just Oracle Stalker, and it can actually do a lot of damage here. As you were saying, you have to be very careful with these Oracles to keep your Stalkers alive, and at the same time, 2 Adepts even get into the natural.
Yeah, really good. This is kind of a bit of a skill. I don't want to say skill check, but it's something you do. Yeah, actually, it is a skill check. Yeah, it's not disrespectful. Normally you shouldn't see like adepts be able to wander all the way through here. But it just kind of goes to show, as Zerg, you really need to kind of have that vision out. The Void Ray does obviously make it harder, but the Void Ray's been mostly just defensive at this point. But Probe does this a lot too, where he just sends like little adepts at you. You know, if you're being active on the field with Lings and you're not kind of respecting, you know, the defenses at home. But yeah, not too much damage. Void Ray going to deflect. No gases taken at the 3rd yet, and with 4th base. This is actually, expect to see quite a few gateways are going down soon, I'd say.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like Pezz, he is going for that kind of swarm toss style. No disruptors, no colossi, no immortals. It's just gateway army and oracles to support. With that second forge, you know, we have armor, we have charge as well. It's really cool to see this really come into fashion, and we'll see if EnDerr can hold on, because ideally against this you want Lingbane Roach Ravager, but he actually teched up all the way into Hydras.
Yeah, and I just kind of noticed, Pezz threw down a revelation, and the little scarab in the map kind of has a little revelation thing above it. So that was really cool, actually. I didn't know Credence can get revealed like that. But yeah, as you said, a lot of Hydras now, and this map, it's a little bit choky. There's a lot of choke points. You can open them with destructible rocks, but I kind of like Hydras given what Pezz is going for. It's just a matter of engaging, making sure if you're attacking, your Hydra's going first, so your Protoss can't really, you know, back away, because when you go Lings and Hydras, it's a bit easier to kite, just shave off Zerglings. So we'll have to see how EnDerr approaches engagements with this unit comp.
Yeah, there's a bit of a give and take, right? Like, EnDerr doesn't have to worry about splash damage. There's no Storm, there's no Disruptors, there's no Colossi. So Hydras are kind of ideal here, but at the same time, he also has to really respect these sentries. He doesn't have Ravagers to deal with the force fields, if you will. So Pezz could pretty easily cut up this army if EnDerr's not careful.
Yeah, 100%. As Pezz, he comes in, he's got Blink on his Stalkers, which is very useful. Charge was coming, and this is actually going to be the fulcrum that kind of tips the scales in Pezz's favor. 15 Hydras are on the way, but yeah, aggressive Blink, and Pezz doesn't want to wait. He wants to get on top of these Hydras right now. Like,
yeah, exactly. They have no buffer, they have no Lings, they have no Banelings. Naked Hydras are what we see, and we never want to see that. Oh god. Meanwhile, at the same time, a little bit of a run by at the natural base. This 4th, it's just going to go down, and EnDerr just doesn't have enough to deal with this.
Yeah, this is wonderfully done by Pezz, and EnDerr, he's kind of, yeah, with that early Link flood, you know, he was down 30 workers to 40. It didn't really pay off, and unfortunately, Pezz has just been solid. He's getting Storm behind this as well, on scanning the Hydras, and you just got to say, it's just, yeah, really masterfully played by Pezz so far this series.
Yeah, exactly. And you could also argue that EnDerr may not have reacted the best here, seeing what kind of army was coming his way. Banelings really would have helped him round out this army and keep these Hydras alive. Engaged maybe a little bit prematurely. Now he's knocked down to 3 bases. He's down in workers. He's down in economy, down in army. Has a lot of Hydras though, so has a standing army, I guess. But, I mean, Storm is coming. There is a Storm coming.
It's alright, like, he's down in a lot of things, but he's not down in being behind. So maybe correlation does not mean causation, but yeah, I'll have to see. As Pezz, he's feeling comfortable, takes a 5th base as well, and EnDerr, you know, these Oracles still sniping that Spore Crawler, the poor thing, but this is even more annoying as Bear's kind of, don't turn the computer off. Yeah. Sorry, he sits on my computer, but yeah, Hydra count. What advantage does EnDerr have here?
He has the advantage of beating Azure in the previous series when he was down 100 supply. That's the advantage he has. But we'll see if he can do it again, because here we go. The Hydras are trying to come in, but the Storms blanket everything inside. The Hydras are falling left and right, and Pezz, he's just pushing on forward. Unfortunately, there are no lurkers to save EnDerr this time.
Well, there's lurkers are just in their larval stage, but Pezz takes the game. Dominant 2-0 victory for the Terran Ladderer. He goes back to his roots, and he just, like, EnDerr had his tricks, but it didn't matter. He just played that really solidly. Like,
oh yeah, very solid indeed. As we just update the admins on what just happened, and GG, well played. Pezz does take the series in a very, very solid series against EnDerr. We'll move on to the quarterfinals to face Ranger. My condolences to EnDerr. You know, he had some tricks up his sleeve and looked okay in game 1. Game 2 was a little bit more rough for him, but at least he's not out of the tournament yet. He's actually going to go and face another Australian player, one who's actually in our Twitch chat right now.
Yeah, right. A vastly different kind of play style by EnDerr there. No roaches, very roach-based army beforehand, but again, Pezz, he switched it up himself. Didn't go for the robo play, he just went for oracles, just went for a lot of you know, blink stalkers, and it's just yeah, you can't say that Pezz didn't kind of display his dominance in that series, because it wasn't just the abuse of one tech tree. He showed he can play multiple ways. But yeah, as we look at the bracket now, Light, exclamation mark B in the bracket, as QuirkyCast has written. And yeah, we're going to have Pezz going up against Ranger, who took out Raza 2-1. Wow.
Yeah, some pretty interesting results here, as everyone can see on the screen right now. Ranger taking down Raza, that is very impressive. To be fair, Ranger has been on a tear recently, especially after his DreamHack run. I do feel like Ranger is peaking in performance, and I feel like a lot of players are still adapting to that, recognizing that Ranger's pretty goddamn good. Meanwhile, Demi takes down Quantel, and Mio-Micah takes down Zane. So Southeast Asia and Oceania looking strong here, with the top 4 players currently Mio-Micah, Demi, Ranger, and Pezz.